Ah, okay. Well, believe it or not, folks, I can't see myself on the monitor, but other people are saying that they see me in the studio. So, welcome once again to the Inworld review, where, believe it or not, we are in July. We're in fact almost at the end of the first week in July. It is the seventh of July, and it is 2013. I won't slip a century again this week, I hope. 2013 it is indeed. So welcome everybody. And if you're watching this show live, also welcome to the Metaverse Week in Review, where we've been showing a few introductory clips. Some nice little fireworks we had at the top of the show. Basically 4th of July celebrations in Second Life. We also had a very short clip looking at a world called Onverse, just newly released this week, just a minute long, basically showing you the state of Onverse in 2013. A nice sort of looking world, though. We got a little thing going in chat here, asking you if you can see me or a black screen. I can see a black screen. As for the other participants, I don't know. I've got the black screen on both my machines, so who knows what is going on. I will keep an eye on chat. Hopefully you can see me, so we'll see what's going on. In case we need a reboot. What else did we show? Well, yes, we showed what will probably be the final clips for this year from SL10B, the Second Life birthday celebrations. A couple of the final clips, including the dismantling of a stage and yeah, I gather we're all okay, even if I can't see it. I shall reboot the studio here at some point. Right, and finally, leading into our today's topics, we had a little clip which, well, it was about being in the virtual world, really, but it was also, as you saw toward the end, an advert for Relay for Life. Now, Safia isn't with us this week, for example, because of that very thing, Relay for Life. Next weekend, Saturday principally, will be the giant Relay for Life in Second Life and all that goes with it. And we will be broadcasting the telethon. Yes, indeed. I mistakenly referring to the highlight weekend being the telethon, but it's not. It's the whole thing. Masses and masses of interlinked sims in Second Life, a huge racetrack, glorious builds that will literally only last for a few hours, really, because it all closes down when it's over. But a lot of work is going into it all. And we will be getting together with a lot of the production companies who used to be with Treat TV and also with Metaverse TV, and we'll be bringing you some massive sort of telethon. We'll be roping in some familiar faces you know from elsewhere too. And it's all going to be broadcast on a special channel at live stream called Virtual RFL, all one word, Virtual RFL. And it's I'm sorry, I think I have just no, that is correct. And the channel is donated by Metaverse TV, so you can already watch that online. It's actually, much to my surprise, I went into the channel the other day to do some preparations, and got there, and actually found that all the archives from last year are still there. We usually have to decant quite a few of them. So if you want to pop into that channel during the week, you can see probably about 50 or 60 hours or something of programming that is actually from last year's Relay for Life and various documentaries we have filmed to go with it. But we will be going live early next Saturday morning with the telethon. So basically all our week is going to be devoted to that. Okay, moving into the headlines quickly. There aren't a great deal this week. There was a report a couple of days ago that Linden Lab are looking to launch yet another of their little apps called Bloxworld, which is described as somewhere in the middle of being a Minecraft and being a Lego. That seems rather similar to the sort of patterns thing, but having not seen it, I can't comment. But apparently, July is probably the month for them to launch that, so we'll be looking at that eagerly. I have no idea whether it's a platform app or whether it's on the iPad or Android or whatever, but we'll see. We'll see when time comes, I guess. Right, I'm just flipping down my usual list here to see what is current, what's already passed, basically. Various catch-up blogs on the state of imprudence, which has been updated too, as well as Kokua. And yeah, I think actually we don't have a huge amount here on the main thing of Virtual Worlds this week. So in fact, I'm going to load my other list, which is more the Inworld stuff for later. And as I normally do at this time, I'm going to hand over to Tara for her take on the week, so to speak. Hi, Tara.
Hi, Mel. I guess I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be. It is definitely a slower news week in the U.S. side of the pond, thanks to the Independence Day holiday. I'll call it that since the 4th of July is everywhere, but Independence Day is a U.S. thing. So lots of people have been enjoying an extended weekend, which began on Thursday or it began on Wednesday, depending upon vacation and all that good stuff, if they're in the U.S. This is the time of year, my actual immediate RL sim, that things get rather noisy because I live in what was originally established as a recreation community, which has over 25 years or so gradually developed as a year-round location for a certain percentage of us. Anyway, greetings, and I'm not sure what's showing on camera at the moment. I'll actually get the screen back up here. I was looking at something else. Okay, yes, you don't quite see it, but when I arrived today, I noticed that Shakespeare, my SL10B birthday kitty, was ready to produce a kitten. And so I went and grabbed a girl kitty, and that's Ambush, who's the black and white kitty sitting on the other arm of the chair. And sure enough, in about 2 minutes, they produced a kitten, or rather a kitten box. And much to my glee, this kitten box is now sitting at my feet, and they produced what is known among kitty cats as a puss. Megapus will be a very large pussycat once it is fully grown in about a week. This was an addition a few months back. It's a random trait, so you never know when you might get a Megapus, and I giggled when I got it. So I'm going to go ahead and unpack it, and you'll see how small it is today. And a week from now, if you come back to the show, it'll still be here, and you'll see how big they get. They grow really fast. So I'll go ahead and do the hatching number here. Yes, actually it's called unpacking. It's not called hatching. For some reason I refer to it as hatching. It will take about 15 minutes before it actually the baby appears, because this is
Jeebus, there's prims everywhere.
Something else. No, something just arrived. That has nothing to do with me.
Right, I noticed we've joined by she's a machinima maker, SaveMe Oh.
Yeah, it looks like SaveMe Oh.
I've just IM'd her to see if we can get her in the chat. But it may
everywhere.
It may be we have an art performance going on. Which
ask her to sit down and we'll get to her or something. Anyway, all right. So back to so we'll see this kitty cat here shortly. This baby. But a couple things that have caught my attention this week. First off, there have been a couple of additional follow-up articles on the anniversary in the semi-mainstream press. That both have been considerably more thoughtful, and actually people who looked at things anew instead of rehashing old tired themes from the heyday of when Second Life got lots of media attention, and then things didn't quite work the way they were expecting it to. And one of these in RPA summarized nicely. This was one in All Things D, and there actually was an interview with Rod. No, this I picked up, I think, directly. Was an interview with Rod Humble. And lots of interest, kind of trying to figure out what was new in this from what we've seen before. One of the tidbits I picked up was that it's clear that they actually have been doing some work on trying to port Second Life to tablets anyway. And he comments on the difficulties of doing so because of how sophisticated Second Life is. And it's a chat client, it's a navigating 3D space client, it's a 3D modeling tool, and plus it's a programming environment. And so, what do you include and what do you leave out? Yeah, he said, so that's a lot to get in. It's a hard user interface challenge. Then there was a second article. Let's see. A couple things that I thought were kind of interesting. The interviewer asked about people interested in making money in Second Life. And Rod commented there are two components. There's the business component and the social component. Early on, the perception was that big companies would come into Second Life. In fact, the hobbyists won. They came in and said, I make cars in Second Life, and that's a hobby. It became more like eBay than Amazon. And I thought that was kind of an interesting comparison. And then there was the question came up on the lack of activity on the part of Second Life to promote itself. And there are two things that I thought were really interesting. Rod noted that because over the 2 years that he's been on board, they've been really focusing on the infrastructure, what I sometimes refer to as the eat your vegetable stuff that isn't flashy, but is super necessary, addressing things like lag and issues that have been longstanding that users have complained about. They have been focused there and not on trying to get lots of publicity until things are working better. He commented in regard to the fact that people like Duran and some others have come in on their own. He asked whether Second Life was interested in kind of massaging the media to get particular kinds of coverage. And working with media outlets, and Rod said it's of interest, but he'd say before we do it, we need to be very good at it. And right now, this year is the first year we've been able to say, hey, performance is good, and perhaps next year they'll do more reaching out. And he says it's clearly an opera they need to get into, which I thought was very interesting. So there's a sense of you get certain things right before you go out and try to push it in the media. And then there was an interesting little exchange about the issue that has been longstanding of the media attention to such things as the early flying penises and then subsequently to Zindra and X-rated stuff. And Rod makes the point: what percentage of Google search terms are adult related? We don't think of them as the porn search engine. We let people make whatever they want in Second Life, unless it's illegal. And there's always been this sniggering, oh my reaction. Somebody in the media has got to be the first to be grown up about it. If you're a writer, and every time you're writing, someone says, but what about that D.H. Lawrence? That was rude, huh? The community is rightfully sensitive about it, and I thought that was a point very well made. It needed to be said, and he said it. Anyway, then there was an article in Fast Company, and that was the article in RPA reviewed, and noted it was not a super deep article, but it did hit on some really good points, and was well balanced as well. It wasn't either or, which so many of them have been prone to doing. And here was where. This is where I guess I kind of rolled these two together. He commented, Rod commented in that article, the goal is to strengthen Second Life's core infrastructure while expanding Linden's offerings and other types of shared communities. Inara makes a really good point that she commented that even before any product had been announced, after last winter's announcements about expanding to add some new products that aren't Second Life, that even before any product had been announced, many in Second Life immediately denounced the lab's planned move to diversify, as indicative that the company had given up on Second Life or merely using it as a cash cow. Not even strong evidence to the contrary, with the labs continuing to refine and enhance the platform, or the fact that it has continued to invest heavily in the infrastructure improvements aimed at the platform. And she comments that that certainly offering more things is a business strategy that makes really good sense when a company's in a particular niche. Anyway, I thought that was a well-made point on her part. Anyway, her final comment on the article in Fast Company was Carlin's article is one in which the writer actually grokks the broad creative opportunities Second Life provides and clearly understands the sheer power of the platform to connect lives. So that's one to read if you haven't. Other than that, let's see, a couple interesting items. Let me find my, yes, that I ran across in kind of looking at the geekier side of things. First, a potential issue that people should probably be aware of. It appears that if you have a mangled prim, which is a prim that's had anything done to it other than its standard size, in other words, for example, a hollow, you made a sphere hollow instead of solid, that if you then apply a materials texture to it, apparently it is then suddenly being treated as a new or mesh object and subjected to that accounting system. And in the sample that was provided in here, potential issue, and there's nice screenshots here, where this untextured hollow sphere is one prim. But as soon as it's been turned into a materials texture and a materials texture applied to it, land impact has gone from 1 to 43.
Ooh.
Yes, yeah, it's a little scary, and the issue, one thing certainly to be aware of as some concerns is, if you're fiddling around and you don't have, a good backlog of prims, and you happen to apply a materials texture to something, could have something derez because you've just gone over your prim limit. So this is definitely an unresolved issue. So be aware of it if you want to start playing around with any of the materials viewer features on standard prims that have been tortured. Be warned. And one of the things that I think I'm going to start perhaps covering in little bits and bobs that I'm going to start reading. I keep running into references to the Good Building Practices Wiki. This is an official part of the Second Life Wiki. It's aimed at moderate and advanced builders. It's not aimed at beginners. But if you've gotten beyond resing a prim a little bit, it's probably a good idea to pay a visit to this particular wiki from time to time, and do a little reading. And I will start to share a few bits and pieces from that. And sort of independent of that, I ran across an interesting new feature that's in the new Firestorm viewer that enables you to render reflections in surfaces other than water in photographs. And you'll need to visit the Firestorm new release details in order to find the details on this. That picks up this particular thing and what you need to do. This is called screen space reflections is what you want to look for, but it's a rather cool little feature. And on that note, I think I've run out of stuff to babble about for now, so I'm going to toss it back to you, Mal.
Well, thank you, Tara. Interesting stuff there, really. That increase in well, not prim count, land impact or whatever, rather dramatic that was.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was. I saw that in my eyes. When I blew up the picture so I could actually read stuff. It was kind of like, whoa.
Yeah, the great unexplained behaviours of Linda Lab. Oh well, oh well. Now I mentioned earlier at the top of the show, Sapphire can't join us this week because she is really bogged down with RFL, and I can vouch for that. She's bogged down with a whole lot of stuff. So I've just opened my sort of notes about in-world activities, and I think I'll sort of run through a few of those before I introduce the guests and open up the more general conversation. So, starting the week, we did have yet another reminder blog post from the UWA about the Reflections contest, and that one aspect of this is an audience participation event, and you could actually win as a member of the audience to speak 45,000 lindens. Just for visiting the 3D art and watching the machinima. There is a sort of audience vote contest involved here, as well as the sort of judging that I and various others will be doing in the coming weeks. And we were due to be joined by Lepiskin Liberty today, actually, but he seems to have disappeared, so he's not here. But I contacted JJ Zimbabwe at the University of Western Australia, about the machinima contest, which is reaching its closing bit. I think we may have all the last ones in by now. I can't remember the exact date. And he said, "Oh, we'll get Lepiskin to come on. He's the co-sponsor." But we haven't got Lepiskin. But I did see Lepiskin last night, oddly enough. I went over to the MOMAC event. Lots of packed audience for the machinima makers, really. And basically announcing the submissions to the LEA machinima thing for this month. This is a program that's going to be on the first Friday of every month. In future, we're going to make it a bit like this show. There'll be a sort of discussion of the submissions, and we'll be running the submissions separately too, to make a sort of nice sort of bit of machinima show out of it. So that was good, and Lap was there. He also gave us some very good news, which is that the stats for viewing of this show via AView TV seem to be rapidly going uphill, which is much better than going downhill. And very good news indeed. We've been getting lots of hits since we've been on AView TV. So good stuff there. But I'm not here to bang my own trumpet. What else happened in World this week? Well, at the beginning of the week, we had something called the Home Show open. This isn't the RFL Home and Garden or anything. This is just a home show. It's another exhibition of vendors and things like that producing items for your home. A lot of nice photographs on the blog, I must say. I mean, I sort of get the Eastern blogs passing through. I don't normally tweet them or anything, but it's always nice to see well designed furniture and things. So if you're interested in homes and gardens and stuff like that, check out the Home Show. What else did we have in the week? Safia's program Designing Worlds, of course, aired on Monday. Presumably it's on tomorrow too, but last Monday was actually the second part of their visit to SL10B, so you can find that online if you want to watch it as well. A sim, I think the sim is called Neo Victoria. Or one word, Neo Victoria. They have a 2013 treasure hunt just started. So if you're into Neo Victorian type stuff, which I guess probably includes steampunk and things, then that treasure hunt may be of interest. What else have we got here? I've got a twittering. It's a distraction message on Twitter, which is not pertinent to this for the moment. Right. Whoa. I'm getting strange behavior on my screen in World. Interesting stuff here. Right. Okie doke. Okay. I had thought earlier on we'd been joined by somebody on stage, but they seem to be more intent on an art performance in the arena here. So we're kind of multitasking today. It seems we're broadcasting an art piece and our talk show at the same time. I've never tried that before, so quite interesting experience. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, a lot of SL10P aftermaths in the blogs. And of course, midweek, I think Tara mentioned this, but midweek there was an emergency update to the Firestorm viewer. Basically, the update from sort of this time last week was pinging Linden Labs every 30 seconds instead of every 10 minutes. So they weren't happy about that. So Firestorm rushed out an update to take care of it. What else have we got? On a personal note, this has been my first week without Google Reader. And I'm surprised and pleased to say that it hasn't actually been a bad week. I may have lost some of the feeds and I've lost some of my buttons for posting quickly, but I've got a sort of new system sort of organized. And I'm using a service called Feedly, which synchronizes to the iPad, the desktops, and everything else like that in much the same way that Google Reader did, but seems to be a hell of a lot faster, mostly because you can choose formats, types of views you want as you go along. So I think we've recovered from the Google Reader departure, and I'm now a big fan of Feedly, for those of you who are interested. What else is going on in World? Right, the Roadhouse hunt. Again, I haven't got direct links to this, but if you look up Roadhouse Hunt, you'll probably find it. There's another hunt called the Sirius Hunt. And where are we? Scanning up very rapidly here just to check that we haven't got anything vitally important to make. Oh, I was laughing myself silly in the week. I was sort of hoping that we might even get Anna Macmillan on today, but she's posted her wonderful, another day of destination blogs. Oh, I love the psychedelics going on behind me here. Yeah, this is brightening up the show no end, isn't it? But anyway, sorry, I'm distracted. Anna did post a few posts this week, but I thought the best one was my second life rhythm has changed and it's Jagger's fault. Apparently she watched the Rolling Stones and Mick Jagger in particular last week and has decided that she needs to hit RL and get fit quick. So she was apologizing for not posting quite so many virtual locations. That was amusing I thought that was. Right, what else have we got? The LEA Full Sim Art Series. There is a build by somebody called Nino Vichan, Vichan, called When the Mind's Eye Listens. I haven't managed to visit it yet, but I have seen photos of it, which does look really rather spectacular. So that's going to be on my list of things to do. And we showed a film last week called Contact by, I hate to admit it, but I've forgotten the machinima maker's name. But he's German, and he was present at this MoMAT thing last night, and the interesting thing about his machinima is that it's all actually scripted, and what looks like composition actually live from Inworld, and he has at the LEA an exhibition that goes with it, and you literally walk into it and the scripts take you on this visual journey, which is what the machinima is. So that's another LEA thing I'm going to be checking out too. Linden Labs, the Linden Arts blog, did a post on Ambi Bim Bogami with another LEA exhibit. There's loads of new ones coming online there. And also quite a few blogs on something that looked rather cute, but I would say it has become dated rapidly, and that is the 4th of July Town. Well, of course, midweek we had the 4th of July, which is a big holiday in America, celebrating, independence from our lot, actually. Big event for Americans, their Independence Day. And so in World there was a 4th of July town Again, it's a matter of I've seen the pictures, but I haven't actually been there. So um, my guess is that it's still around if you want to visit it and enjoy a sort of all-American experience. Is probably the best way I can put it. And right, what are we? Yeah, there was a big event in actually tying in with the 4th of July. There was a big event which was mirrored in Second Life, but it was principally a thing that happened throughout America. It was called a Restore the Fourth sort of protest. A lot of people used Independence Day to protest the revelations about the National Security Agency and spying and all that sort of stuff, and went out saying "Restore the Fourth," implying, of course, that restore the democratic agenda or the Constitution or whatever. But that was reflected in World 2, which is often the case. You have protests in the organic world, and somebody comes in world and has a virtual equivalence of the same thing. Right, scrolling up again. It was a long list this week, but as usual, a lot of things are out of date by the time we get here. Oh, there was a lovely post during the week. Again, I'm not sure who it was on, but it was a spotlight on Lizisime, that's Lisisme, Dubrovna, Dubrovna. And I think it's a she. Basically, she has built an entire replica of the USA's Grand Canyon in World in Second Life, and it's another one of those things. It's obviously miniature. You couldn't very well build the whole thing in Second Life, but it's a miniature version of this, and it's great stuff indeed. So you should check that out if you can. I've already mentioned Box World, and yeah, I think that's it. As Tara sort of mentioned, Roderick Linden has been resurfacing during the week, as well as the blog he did about the birthday. There were a couple of interviews in the tech press about the in-between years and that sort of stuff. So they're not letting go of the PR machine quite yet. Right, so I think it's about time to introduce our guests in World. As I said, Lapiskian unfortunately doesn't seem to have made it, but I am joined by the person who's not only our camera woman, but also everybody's camera woman. She never stops. It's Petlove Petshop. Hi, Pet.
Hi, Mal. You make me laugh.
Yeah, and I can see or imagine just how busy you are there, as well as operating the camera. We have to apologise to the audience. We had to bring interfaces up.
Yeah, sorry about
that. That wonderful psychedelic experience that's going on here wasn't actually planned, and some aspects of it are sort of interfering with our pictures. So we.
Hey, every day's a new day, right, Matt?
Yeah, I know. We're having to take a few steps to check that the broadcast quality of this show is.
We've attracted the interest of another artist.
Yes, I know. SaveMe Oh,
Mm-hmm.
SaveMe Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever spoken to SaveMe Oh. I remember in the machinima we were watching yesterday. Was it Nicola X's machinima where she plays a cameo?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah.
But of course, she does. She posts on Vimeo a number of clips herself.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I don't think we've ever really shown them. I think she's one of these people that doesn't allow letting them clips. So, but some very, very interesting sort of.
Yeah,
things, very
much so. Yeah, and some of Saveme's photography is also very stunning, and her friend Rose also is a tremendous machinima maker and a great artist. So yeah, good stuff.
Well, since she's on the stage, I did IM her to see if she wanted to be connected into the chat, but she hasn't got back to me. So I guess we'll just watch her performance in a limited way while we continue. And I'm also joined by another regular guest. You'll all know him. I'm going to go the polite route. I'm not going to even try the avatar name, am I? It's Will Burns. I will.
Really? After all this time, you still won't? I've broken this down so many times, man.
I know you have.
I'm gonna give you notes, man.
It's a Aeonix Aeon. But, you
You
know,
got it right. You
I
got
know.
it right.
I was just so scared that, I'll get it wrong again. I thought, oh, yeah,
Come
Will
on.
Burns,
We got this. We got this. Just say my last name. We
Will
can do
Burns.
this.
Come on, Will Burns. Will Burns, you're my namesake. How can I forget that one?
Everybody's going to think we're related, Mel.
Yeah, I know we can pretend to be a
Oops.
terrible viewer or something.
He's only
The
on his show because he's only on his show because he's related to him.
Yeah, the Malin Wills Burns show or something. Sorry, Tara.
So you're related. Oh.
No, it's like if we go
Second
with
degree burns.
yeah, it's like if we go with second life names. I was forced to use Mal Burns Writer. So everybody thinks you're a family if you've got the surname Writer. It's just one of them things, isn't it?
With Burn too.
Yeah, Writer was apparently the surname chosen by all the true creatives in Second Life. So there you go. I'm in good company. Yes, I am. Never mind. Right, so how's it? Will, first of all, Will, congratulations are in order because this week you had now I haven't read the PDF, it wasn't publicly downloadable, but basically you've had an academic paper that has been in the offing for publication for a while and it finally got published this week in an academic journal. Tell us more.
Well, it it actually got published in Association for Computing Machinery, and I'll post that in the chat here for everybody, if I can get that in there. Let's see, it is 3D Virtual Worlds in the Metaverse, Current Status and Future Possibilities, an ACM Association for Computing Machinery journal, as of June 30th, Volume 45, Issue 3, June 2013, Article 34, which is awesome, and I will throw that link into the back chat for everybody if you're interested, and if you can contact me in World, I can sneak you an actual copy of it in the PDF form.
Oh, wonderful.
Don't tell them because they get kind of publishers get kind of pissy about it. But yeah, if you get a hold of me, I'll give you a copy.
So drop it in Skype to me later. That's
I'll throw it in there, and
the best way of doing it. Yeah.
I'll give you the actual PDF in Skype. So if you guys are watching this, you want to get a hold of me in World, just let me know, and I will make sure PDF will get to you if you'd like it. Right. So yeah, that's about the gist of it.
To say that I can read it and grill you. I imagine it's quite a read, being academic sort of contributions do tend to be quite involved, don't they? So
luckily it went from 40. Well, luckily, it went from 45 pages originally, and they scaled it down to 38. So
all right.
So it's nice now. They brought it down a couple of pages.
It's doable.
It's doable. It's readable. A couple cups of coffee. It's much longer than a normal blog post anatomy. So if you think my blog posts are long, this is probably not for you.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I must say you do some epic blog posts. And then in some cases retract them a week later.
Yeah. Well, I kind of got a couple of things I had said in those blog posts. I got flagged for violating NDA, and I was like, crap.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, fine, I'll do that.
A slightly dangerous path, really. But no, certainly. Well, congratulations on it. Anyway, I mean, it's getting into academic journals is no mean achievement, is it? Peer review.
No, it took, believe it or not, that has been in the works since end of 2011, early 2012. It's been sitting in queue, like marching its way forward. It was already accepted. It just been sitting there inching forward. And I asked the journal a while back. I'm like, well, how long does it take to get into one of these journals? And they're like, oh yeah, there's like a queue time of like 18 months or so. And I'm like, that's a long time. They're like, well, it used to be 2 years. And I'm like, 2-year wait time to publish something? And they're like, yeah, you're in the world of digital now. Why can't you just put a PDF up? So for the longest time, I had the original draft up for the PDF available. But now that they have that up there, I don't really do that.
Yeah, of course.
Because the finalized version is a little different from the original draft version. So, but yeah, I mean, it boggled my mind that in this age of instant publishing, it takes 2 years to get published. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, you would somehow think it was just press a button, submit, someone reads it, okays it, and there it goes. But unless you go with the do-it-yourself, and then of course it doesn't get into the journal. So
yeah, but it's in a journal, so I'm happy now.
Swings and roundabouts, I guess.
I heard it was
And,
supposedly one of the top-notch journals, and when they originally submitted it, Dr. Dionisio put it in there, and Dr. Gilbert and I had like no idea, that he had submitted it to ACM, and we were worried about that because we did a little looking into it, and it's like one of the top computing journals in the world, and we're like, oh crap, you shot for the stars. What were you thinking? And
yeah.
well, we can do some editing. It's no big deal, some revisions, and then the first round went in, and it came back perfect. Like we got like it's like one sentence they asked us to change.
Right.
And then the editor was like, "This is the first time in history it made it pass without any review. Just everybody's like, perfect, go." And we're
Oh,
like, "Really?" We're like, "Really?" And then they're like, "Yeah, it's accepted." We're like, "Should I be excited?" Yeah. Dr. Gilbert's like, "Well, you got one. We're in one of the most respected journals in the world. Yeah,
yeah.
this is a time to dance." And I'm like, "I'll dance when I actually see it published," because I was totally I'm not going to say I was all happy about it. I'm like, when I see that thing back published and I get
Yeah.
the word back, I will actually do the dance.
I
And then,
know that. I
so
know that feeling. Accepted
he's
is
like,
a lovely word, but
yeah.
until you
And then he
see
goes,
it,
about a month ago, he's like, oh yeah, it should be up in. He's like, we're expecting it in like December, the fourth quarter this year. I'm like, okay, cool. And he comes back, he's like, well, he's like, actually, I got word from the editor, so it should be a couple weeks. And I'm like, oh well, even better. And then he got me like last week or something. He's like, sit down. It's already in for June. And I'm like, what? I'm like, these guys are moving this along pretty quick then.
yeah, no,
So yeah,
it's
we did a little happy dance. But yeah, if anybody's watching and they want a copy of it, just get in touch with me in World here, and I can email a PDF copy to you. Or if you're in Skype, you can hit me up and I'll send it to you.
great. Hopefully, of course, it will also fulfill another function. I mean, a journal like that, and people subscribing to it, and heighten awareness of the virtual environments and everything about them, really.
Hopefully, yeah. We covered a lot of topics. It goes from point A to point. It's a full history. So as best as we could. We originally had when we wrote it was 50 pages, and they asked us to cut it down to 45, and we did. And then they were like, "Well, can we bring this down to 38?" And we're like, "Well, you're asking us to write a full history of past, present, and future,
Mm.
and that constraint." And so we submitted it at 45. They brought it down to 38, and we were kind of happy with that last draft. We're like, "All right, fine." So we had to omit
Yeah.
a couple of things that the original. One of the original things in there was like a general overview of the progression of virtual worlds, and there's stuff in there that was originally in there that got taken out. That Peter Finn over at IBM, when he read over, he's like, "Well, what about Xerox and this over there?" And and I'm like, "Well, that was all in there originally. We had to take it out because we're cutting down stuff, so we had to do like a quick
Yeah.
gloss over." But I said, "Yeah, I'm very well aware of a lot of those things that we had to take out." He's like, "Oh, okay." But yeah, I mean, in general, it's pretty nice as a journal.
Yeah.
I mean, it
But
goes through the full history, including stuff like Snow Crash and different literary versions and muds, and it goes through like the whole. It's not really technical either. That's what surprises people. It's written on like there's some technical stuff in it. It's written as a easy way to progress through it. You can bite size it and go through easy.
right. There's so much history to cover when we think
Oh
of
yeah.
this, sort of, you can't write something like that and get everything in, I guess
Well, not only
you
that,
just focus on
Well,
the
not only that,
pathway.
but by the time it gets to the, but we actually made a reference in the paper itself saying that because of the nature of virtual worlds and how fast technology changes, by the time this gets into print, some things may change. So keep it as an overview, but some things some details may change between now and then, and we put that in there on purpose, and that's what the reviewers loved about it. It was the fact that we were acknowledging how fast things were going. Some things may be outdated by the time it gets to print.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that is the other danger about.
So that was a good call. That was a good call in the beginning because it turned out to be like 18 months before it got in, and Dr. Gilbert like, how do you know that? And I'm like, I didn't. I just kind of anticipated that the publishing was going to be slower than.
Yeah. My mission. Yeah, well, we can't.
Entire mountains, entire civilizations will rise and fall. Crabs will rule the earth, and then it will get published.
Well, it's great. It is. It's great as it is now, and firmly up there. So, taking your place in the agenda there. What
So,
else?
if you need it, I'll give a copy to anybody.
Yeah.
You two definitely mount because you've been like asking me, so I got to get on that.
Okay. Well, yep. Of course, you're gonna get when the replays come in. You're gonna get inundated requests, maybe, but never mind. I'm sure we'll get away with it. So, what else has been happening? I mean, let's bring Petlove back into Antar, of course. This week, I know one of the social highlights of Second Life this week was yesterday's Mr. Virtual World.
Oh,
you were
yes. Yes,
you were
indeed.
on the spot, weren't you, Bet?
Sure enough, me and Emo and Duza, a good time was had by all. Some really, really beautiful, beautiful fashion, and it was a well organized
Beautiful
show.
what?
Fashion. I did not
I,
say any other word but fashion. No, really, it was a great
I,
show. It
at the
was.
set, I was actually because I wasn't involved with that broadcast. I just sort of plonked it on the TV and sat there watching it, and sort of so I got it in the consumption sort of arena. But the set was great too. I like the set.
It was a nice looking set. Yeah.
It looked good. I gather probably a few impracticalities about it, but Frolics one of these people that really goes overboard.
I thought he
But
restrained
in a good
himself.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, he did
But,
great.
so much detail in the set and everything else.
So
It's
true.
it's a piece of art in its own right, really.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep, good show. And wasn't it Mr. Sweden who won?
No.
Who was it?
It
Who
was
won?
right. Mr. Switzerland was the
Switzerland.
right.
That's
No, he was the first follow up. In other words, if the reigning champion anything happens to him, Switzerland takes over. But the actual winner was Mr. Australia.
okay.
Australia, indeed. Love the Australian accent. Yes, indeed, he was.
Fantastic.
But it was fun, all these. It was down to the last dozen or so by the time it was filmed and stuff. There was a Mr. UK and Mr. USA and Mr. Spain and
Oh, sure.
all this stuff.
Venezuela.
Basically, all these guys strutting their stuff on stage.
They go to so much trouble. They go to an incredible amount of work. They work. They spend money. They practice. They debate over the perfect outfit for each section. They will really work hard.
Yeah.
Those models I never knew. Until I started to see.
If you think the guys are bad, try Miss Virtual World. That is.
I have done that too.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. The work and the dedication is
Wow.
something to be totally admired. I mean, it's sort
Yeah.
of very limited sort of spectacle for people in that kind of thing. But my God, they're devoted to you know,
Was it Mr.
they're devoted.
Venezuela's outfit? Did you see he had a waterfall built into his cape? He had like seven
Oh,
or eight different types of flora and fauna going on. It was amazing. It,
Wow.
it was really stunning. We need to see more of that. I mean, it's Second Life. You can do things like that. I
yeah.
think.
I was a bit disappointed. The UK guy came in a kilt.
Mm-hmm.
His
Mm-hmm. I
family,
was upset
his
with the
family
suits.
Tarzan. Yeah, he was going on about his Scottish Irish ancestry, and he was meant to be representing the UK. It was all Scotland Island, Scotland Island.
Well, the world is a melting pot these
Well,
I
days.
mean,
well, they are part of the UK.
yeah, oh yeah, but they're meant to be representing the whole of the UK. And, well, never mind. I mean, each round he was followed by Mr. USA, and it was quite funny because UK was wearing his kilt and regalia and stuff like that, and he was followed by Mr. USA, who had gone to Native Indian, which was
Mm-hmm.
also quite a
Mm-hmm.
costume
Right,
too.
right, right.
So,
It was. He looked
yeah,
great.
they really went for the symbolic costumes a lot too, and well, not in the not in the swimsuit
It went
round.
from fantasy
I
to
think,
Wall Street. It was amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm nervous to comment on the swimsuit round because you can guess which part of the anatomy reads last.
It was a bit of a problem at times.
There were some other interesting shots in that broadcast, which were a bit
Just
deceptive to do with shapes.
couldn't be helped. It's pretty
Uh, we
funny.
better, we better not that. It was a great show. It was a great show anyway. So,
Totally.
yeah, that was good. So what else? What else have we had happening this week? Will, Petlove, Tara, all of you, any highlights of the week? Oh gosh,
Oh
silence.
man, I haven't
No, I'm
been
just
really
trying
paying
to think.
attention to the news. I'm trying to think of the news.
Well, have you watched the
I
Fear channel
saw
lately? The
no,
Weather
I don't
channel?
watch that much
The
TV.
beer,
Yeah, the Weather
the
channel's the
the
new
Oh,
beer
the
Fear
Weather
channel?
Channel?
channel.
Did you say?
The Fear channel. Fear. Like the
Oh,
Weather
the
channel,
fear channel.
they fill you with fear about the weather now.
Oh,
Really?
Oh,
Yes, they
They really
do.
need the ratings that bad? They need the ratings that
Apparently,
bad?
it looks that way to me. I mean, it's going to be hot. No, it's an excessive heat warning. Run for cover. I'm just being smart. Sorry.
it's funny that
well, you have
the
you do
radio.
have to you do have to admit though in the U.S. this week, in the Southwest, where the temperatures were well up in 3 digits.
It was kind
The
of odd
the
to see a foot of hail down there, down in New
Yeah.
Mexico.
and yes, and the foot and a half of hail in New Mexico in June was definitely bizarre.
Yes,
That kind of
indeed.
made me
Yes,
scratch my head and
indeed.
went, "Wait, what?"
I know, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep. There were
Let's see, in
videos.
the news. What else? Not necessarily virtual worlds news, but there's technology news like SpaceX just showed off new nav gear with the latest Grasshopper rocket.
Oh,
They did the
really?
launch and landing.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
Nice.
so the Grasshopper SpaceX's Grasshopper Leap has grown higher and higher. They're doing good. So
It's just the one that's controlled by thought, brainwaves.
what?
No, okay, yeah, I'm getting confused. There is,
That's wait,
I
dude.
did
It's
have,
SpaceX. This is launching rockets. If you're launching rockets with that's a superpowered Mel.
yeah, no, well,
That's
no, there is.
superpowered, dude.
Was I didn't upload it for the show because it was pretty much a repeat of an earlier clip. But I did see a clip in the week where it's like computer interfaces you wear that tap brain signals and now you can navigate in virtual worlds. But they had built this sort of little flying saucer thing. In a big factory space, basically, and the guy was wearing a helmet and it was sort of flying. So it wasn't like he was behind a console and a joystick. He was actually
saw
just
that.
standing there, and the Wi-Fi signals were leaving his brain and flying this contraption, and it was getting higher and higher. So when you said higher and higher, I thought this one. I mean, it's interesting tech. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know how far you can travel. But
You could. I mean, you're basically looking at a high resolution, I guess, fMRI. I can't remember, but it's kind of like the Epoch headset, just a little bit higher resolution. And I kind of see the Epoch headset, and it's been around for a number of years now. Even as when I remember when it first came out as a prototype, and they're hyping it up. And I saw an article a while back about it again, like it was a brand new thing. And I'm like, well, it's been around for a couple of years. I'm like, why are they still hyping this thing? There's a lot of developers that are probably still waiting for theirs. Come on, hurry up.
We know there's an inverse thing that came up this week. I don't know why it wasn't on my list earlier. It's probably gone to one of my tech feeds instead of Twitter. But it's oh Lord, I think it's in Denmark, or it might be Germany, but one of the European countries. There's a big company that's launched an advertising campaign where they are actually feeding signals into your mind. If, for example, you get on a train and somehow they're actually, I don't know whether it's done with sound or whatever, but they're actually using advertising techniques that simulate your brainwaves. So you're not directly watching anything. You're having this information fed into your mind. It's not like
It's
you're
like
not wearing
subliminal
headphones.
messaging, subliminal stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
terrible.
but it's
That's
not done with images, and it's not directly done with sound. I don't know quite how they're doing it. I think it's Sky.
They
that
need to outlaw that.
experimented with this.
What?
That needs to be outlawed
They
right
need to
away.
outlaw that. That needs
Absolutely.
to. That's like a reason to pull out the tinfoil hats.
Absolutely.
It got
Tinfoil hats coming out.
Jesus.
it was getting big attention, and
Really?
I think it was getting big attention, not just because of what it was, but the implications. Yeah, for sure.
The last thing we need is people beaming crap into other people's heads. Like, I got enough voices in my head. I don't need
right?
like advertising breaks in my head too.
Look,
It's
yeah,
like this random thought about cookies will be is brought to you by Pillsbury. Shut up, Randy.
yeah, yeah. The following following advertiser wishes to put a cookie in your brain. Will you accept this?
Yeah.
So don't
We'll close our eyes.
Oh crap! It's got geocaching too. It knows where I'm at. Geolocation.
How do I clear my
now.
mental cache now?
It's scary.
Never-
It's scary.
It's just more
I can
reasons
never-
to
I can
do
never
drugs and alcohol. That's what they want, right? They want us all stoned.
Never go to the strip club again. They'll know where I'm at. God no.
There was another blog in the week which was phenomenal. I mean, this must have been known for ages, but it was interesting when I saw it, and that was about fluoride.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
it's in toothpaste, it's put in water, in drinking water, it's all over the place. And there was a whole rundown of the chemical composition and the potentially
that's an
the
old
effect.
song.
The
To have
toxic.
brain.
It's a toxic byproduct of aluminium processing, isn't it?
Well, apparently it makes us docile. So if we use anything
I
with
remember
fluoride in
correctly.
it, we become docile creatures. So if we avoid
Well, now,
fluoride,
all of
maybe.
our...
Who knows what we'd be like if we avoided fluoride? We'd probably all use it one way or another, if only toothpaste. But yeah, no, some scary, we have to watch this technology. I'm very keen on empowering technologies and stuff, but it's like, it's like
All
data.
technology can be used for good or bad.
Exactly.
There's good and bad side. Technology itself is agnostic. It's how you use it that becomes good or bad, and it's the people behind it.
Yeah.
That's truth.
Yeah, because the same thing that could be used to beam advertising in your head could also be used to beam porn in your head, and there's got to be a market for that.
You'd think they would beam world peace to everybody's head, but no.
Oh no, that will.
No, the problem is that there's no market for that.
No profit
Yeah.
peace, right?
There's
Yes.
no profit. That's
pretty much. Yeah.
And that I think is the unfortunate thing is that so how much commercial endeavor goes into how do you push products to get people to spend money on it?
It's all the military
In a
industrial
crowded market.
complex. They're having their way with the world. Oh, woe is us. Yeah.
What was it's a shame. I mean, I think my personal thought, and this is just my opinion on things, is world peace will be achieved the minute you get rid of money. The minute everybody's equal and we got everything in abundance, you're done. There's no reason to fight anymore. We're good.
Yeah.
One of my favorite rants is
it really is one of those little.
And I think there's a market for pigs flying with that particular possibility.
I don't think about pigs flying because unfortunately the way that the economy works is counterproductive to actually working, so it's bound to collapse. It's inevitable. You can't have infinite growth. You can't have infinite consumerism. There's not an infinite number of things on the planet to do it. It's going to collapse.
A few years ago, it occurred to me that we could do everything we do in our world without money. We can still make planes. We can still make couches, teach children. We can do all that stuff without money if everybody would be willing to, just do it without money.
Good example. Actually, that brings up a news article recently that transition. Oregon has recently implemented a tuition-free college. You can go in and go to college. You sign up, and how you pay for it is after you get a job. They take 3%. They take 3% of your pay for the next 24 years to pay for it. But what it does is it pays for the next generation coming in. So they have tuition.
Cool.
It's a pay it forward model.
That's pretty
and
cool.
at which point I said which point. I think that's a damn good idea.
Sure.
3% of my paycheck for the next 24 years isn't gonna hurt me if I know that the kids coming after me are getting free college. And they get it out and they do the same thing. It's just a pay it forward model. There's no like crushing debt. Getting out of college.
Right. Good idea.
When you look at the size of the debt that the typical college graduate is carrying today when they finish a degree, I look at those numbers and it's how anybody even thinks about going to college.
Well, my little brother Kevin.
If they have to borrow money to do it, it's absolutely mind-boggling to me.
It's crazy. It's
My son
crazy.
won't go.
My little brother
totally
Kevin.
nuts. It is totally
my
nuts.
little brother Kevin. My little brother Kevin. He went up to I think he went up to New York State College, and he had to drop out because it's just the debt piled up too quick. And he's like, I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And he was asking me about it. And I said, I really am sad about the fact that, that people are getting crushed debt like
They're
this, and they really shouldn't
influenced.
be. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
education should be. I think education should be like that Oregon model to pay it forward. If you get out and you get a job, 3% comes out. They'll pay back, but it's not so much paying back. It's paying it forward because the next generation that comes in
Mm-hmm.
gets the benefit of the education, and you just keep it going.
That's
So I
brilliant.
told my brother, I said, when they implement that, when they implement that in 2015, I said, if you still want to finish up your college, I told my little brother that. I said, if you want to finish college, go to Oregon, just apply.
Yeah.
He's like, well, what happens? I'm like, you get a job, you pay it for the next 24 years, but 3% of your paycheck ain't gonna hurt you now, is it? He said, you're not dealing with like interest or anything else building up either.
And you'll have a good
You're just paying
paycheck because
back.
you got a college degree.
You'll have a good paycheck because you got a
And
college.
this huge black mark on a credit rating.
Right?
Yeah, you won't have a huge black mark. You won't have any of that stuff. I said, you just gotta, pay her 3%. It's not gonna hurt you. I said, and you have a reason to go for like a master's degree at that point because you're paying it forward. I said, still 3%. Go.
Mm-hmm.
I
Absolutely.
said, that's the way it should be.
It's a shame. I mean, Britain's education system used to be very different, but it's become very much the same now. And sort of, if family can afford it, then it doesn't really hit. But otherwise, it's become a sort of series of loans and things like that. And by the time interest is paid back on the loans, and there's some arrangements where you don't pay it back unless you get a job. But I mean, it's very.
Right. It's like you gotta sell your soul to go to college.
Yeah,
nuts.
it's like it's an educational equivalent to the mortgage. You
Right.
spend half your working life paying off a mortgage. So
But a mortgage is a very different animal, Mal. You don't have to buy a house.
no,
You can
no, no,
always rent.
yeah,
And speaking as a homeowner, the house doesn't care if it's paid for.
or not. Yeah,
If you're renting, you're paying rent. If you own own a house, the bank actually owns the house. Yeah, you're making payments. The advantage is if you're in an unsubsidized housing situation as a renter, your rent is going to go up to match inflation. If you buy a house, and if you're not silly enough to get a variable rate mortgage, your mortgage stays the same. So inflation happens, your mortgage is still the same amount.
yeah.
So it is absolutely not the same
Yeah,
thing.
I
as
didn't.
education debt.
The parallel I was drawing, was just a social one. Society is used to the concept of home ownerships and mortgages and things, but speaking in the UK, for example, that's never traditionally been the case with education, whereas the long-term obligation, as something that's always on your books every month or something is, that's education payback is coming into the equation there. It just means one's overheads in life for a longer period of time are higher. Anyway, we're diverging there.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of want more of the online, online society or online facilities, more to the point, are totally changing the economy anyway. Sort of. I look back at the days of desktop publishing, for example, and suddenly a whole load of individual professions like typesetting and hot type laying and all sorts of stuff were made obsolete by the fact it was all done on a screen. But that profession adjusted. The individual skills are still there, though obviously somebody who's a good operator of Quark Express knows their typography and page layout. They need to know both, kind of thing. But there's I do remember a time when lots of things like printers and typesetters literally went out of business as DTP moved in. I mean, they've gone somewhere else. The skills are still there. They're needed in the production line. But the technology impact. If you can do in one day what used to take a week, does somebody who's work hard, do 5 times as much and leave the other 4 people, as it were, out of business, or do you equally distribute the kind of work? And whilst this sort of economy we've got at the moment is still going, pyramid system where you've got the ultra wealthy and the ultra poor is actually sort of increasing. But I wonder if it's going to average out over time, where the nature, if that fiscal system goes into decline, it's whether we can be online and return to a kind of what money originally was trade. In other words, people used to trade skills with each other. I would give you some of my potatoes if you gave me a bit of your end of your pig or something. It was swap and trade, and money was created.
Cooked, I hope.
In those days, not as a virtual, money, but it was created those days as a token by which you could eliminate the actual physical exchange, but just say, well, give me so much of your coins and then I'll go and, spend the coins here. But of course now virtual has become the original virtual commodity in itself. It's tokenism. It has no real bearing on your individual wealth and the individual skills you're putting into the community. Some people, two people can work equally hard, but one gets very little payback for it and the other gets massive payback for it. So the notion of trade has become obsolete, equal trade, that is. Whereas I wonder if online trading and things might actually move towards an equalization of that old sort of, one-to-one trading system. I don't know. It's a thought.
I think
well,
everything has to be
you
local.
got me thinking.
Yeah, there's a lot to think about.
Yeah. Relocalization is a big passion of mine, and it doesn't, it's not happening quick enough, but it should be. Anyway.
Yeah, well, of course, to come back on the education thing, one of the things that I think is one of the more intriguing elements with the options, with the online options, are these, and I keep forgetting what the actual acronym is, but the massive education classes online where you can sign up. There's a lot of classes that are being done. You can sign up and take them online for free, and that's academic stuff. You only get credit if you complete the assignments and pass the exams. But they can enroll up, they're enrolling 25,000 people in some of these. And, it's like it puts the whole education thing on its ear as this sort of thing gains traction. It raises some possibilities, I think, for, and other options for people to get the education they need without breaking the bank. And for the bank to have to reconsider how it is setting prices, and the bank being in this case educational institutions, and also government where they're public institutions.
These are the ones called MOOCs, aren't they? MOOC.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. They're becoming quite big here too. So.
Yeah. Well, they don't have borders, so there's no borders for those.
Well, talking of education. Coincidentally, this program flows. We suddenly slide into education, and we got two. We got two things here. Basically, we got the coming up in September. We mentioned this before. We got the Open Sim, the big conference there, with which a lot of educators are involved. But of course, once we've got our telethon of RFL out the way, we're going to be going full steam ahead with Virtual Worlds and best practices in education virtual conference, which, as if you were watching last week, I think it was last week, Felon was on. It's going to be happening not only in Second Life, but also in Cloud Party, Joycadia on the hypergrid, and some environments in Unity 3D. But the one update I can give you is that it's now confirmed that Metaverse TV Business will be the broadcast channel for that. And it will be embedded, obviously, on Virtual World's Best Practices landing page on the web. But, of course, we'll have it all over the place as well. So we will be using that channel as the sole sort of channel to broadcast that. So there'll be no separate channel Meta World or a Treat, it will all be going through that one channel that's been donated for the occasion. So you can look forward to all of that in, I think, 3 weeks' time. Oh, well, actually 2.5 weeks because it starts midweek.
Yeah.
When that is over, we think we have a little bit of a lull after our telethons and our best practices, and I'm hoping we have a
I
little bit
don't
of a
see
lull.
anything written down for August, Mal. I think you're right. Just happy
Don't
hunting.
talk too loud.
Happy hunting
Don't
will
talk too loud.
resume, and the Black and Mirror might start shooting towards the end of August. Maybe, I think. I'm not sure about that. Just from my point of view. But yeah, no more big jobs.
I bet something's lurking behind the scenes somewhere that we don't know about. I was actually chatting to Fush Nightfire yesterday or the day before, basically about Relay for Life, and she says she couldn't make it. She's tied up with Inworlds, and of course, Relay for Life in Second Life is a Second Life event, not a Greater Metaverse event. I seem to recall, and she said something about being involved with it, that there is a Relay for Life weekend in Worlds too. It's just not the same weekend.
Oh, that's good.
That happens after, and apparently she's involved with that in some way, which is, it's a smaller equivalent, but the In-Worlds grid is basically just doing their thing like the Second Life grid does.
Do you think Metaverse TV, you think you'll be streaming anything out of Inworlds?
It's possible. I haven't given it much thought yet. I mean, when I see the actual dates and whatever, it's pretty darned easy to do.
Yeah.
I do hop onto the hypergrid quite a bit, but I tend to go in, travel around, check things out. They haven't really got a base there at the moment, although one's coming up, and there always seems to be something that drives me back to Second Life for the news and things like that. But I've seen it to my knowledge. I know Metaverse TV actually has actually broadcast from In-Worlds on previous occasions. Some of the chat shows of a couple of years back actually broadcast from different worlds, as well as being about different worlds, like my show Cross Worlds was.
I'd like to try. I'm sorry.
No, carry on.
I was going to say I want to try shooting from. Sorry, Mal. From Cloud Party. I want to see if that streams nicely.
I have never tried it. In fact, I've been a bit neglectful of Cloud Party because the browser plugin and the Facebook connection I tried to try it out with was really a bit of a nightmare. First, I didn't want to connect with Facebook, and secondly, the plugin kept on sort of crashing my system.
Oh, gosh.
But I think there's just what I do need to do is get the standalone client they have now, I think, and try it out that way.
I used that, and it was simple.
Yeah,
it worked.
And it seems to be a nice clean interface, which is important for our broadcasting endeavors. Even if we have to bring it up now and again to obscure strange things happening in front of the stage,
like acid trips.
We generally like to steer clear of interface shots. It's okay if it's a training session or something like that, but it's just not TV, is it?
I know. I hated to do it.
Yeah, but needs must. Oh, that was quite an adventure we had earlier. I think she's disappeared now. Sort of, obviously, we only had a short booking.
I'll probably read about it tomorrow, There's always breaking news in some places.
Yes. Oh, yeah. The grand art show that invaded Metaverse Week. Well, we cover the arts here, so it's always nice to have a little extra live performance for jollity.
Hey, look, it's Kara.
Oh, Kara Trapdoor. I have to admit, hi there, Kara. I have to admit, I posted a sort of update about the World venue here to AVU's blog earlier. I thought AVU was going to be on, so I suspect we're getting a few people popping in and out to read about it there. So it's very good indeed. So, what do you think of yesterday, by the way, Pet? It might be you. I might look to filming it, but the MoMAC thing we went to with AView, I was very honoured to be sitting on a
Mm-hmm.
sort of panel, trialing out the idea of being able to show the machinima a bit like we do on the second half of this show, and then but they have a panel interviewing the machinima makers who are part of each month's.
That reminded me of the nights when we used to watch movies and shows in my youth when we used to gather around the TV for a specific show. It had that nice homey feel. We watched a video, we talked about it, everybody was supportive. And it was just, it occurred to me how very pleasant it was to spend time that way. It's one of the nicer ways to spend time in Second Life is with friends, watching wonderful videos, and chatting. I thought it was very nice.
Actually, the thing that surprised me was firstly it was on a function of four sims, so there was plenty of room. And so
Right.
one sim became so full. It was really quite packed, and then I was looking around, looking at the audience, and suddenly I seemed to know every single name
Yep.
because it was just filled with every machinima maker I've ever heard of. I think.
Yep. There were
And
30 plus people there at one point.
mm, and just all yeah, exactly. I mean, almost anyone in the audience could have been up there on the panel talking.
Absolutely. And many
So
of them. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you who don't know, MoMAC. I'm not exactly sure what it.
Monthly
What does it say?
machinima. Monthly
Machinima of the month. Machinima of the month.
community. I don't know either.
Yeah. Well, basically, the Linden Endowment of the Arts
Mhm.
has it's on that build, and basically it's a Linden sponsored thing. They literally have these sort of selected machinima that they show every month, and it was interesting. The entries. Almost all of them I had actually seen before. A couple I hadn't, but some of them are recent. I'd shown them last week or the week before. Or others went way back. There were contributions people had gone into their own archives to dig up. So it's quite fascinating actually watching a selection of clips that range. The variety, of course, was different, but they were
Yeah.
also the time at which they were filmed varied as well. You got some older stuff, maybe like the one Chantel sent in, for example. And then there was that wonderful guy I mentioned earlier, the German guy, whose name I forget.
Was it
But
Ataro? Ataro?
I think, yeah, something like
The
that. 'Cause
industrial one, it was all red and green with the
Yeah,
yeah, that was
that's it.
Ataro.
And it's all run by scripts.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different way. In fact, it wasn't really a machinima. What it was a video record of an installation. And the movement we interpreted as camera movement, as in film machinima, was actually all controlled by scripts that were reacting to the movement of the avatar. So it was script work that
Very
created
different approach. Yeah.
created the camera work, and it was fascinating. It reminded me of some stuff our friend Dizzy Banjo had done with sound years ago, where you would actually be in he was interested in composing music that was generated by the virtual environment. So you would walk towards an object and it was sound, or maybe it was sound loud and soft. And as you moved or as you did things, different tones would be generated, and you'd atmospheric soundscape that was created by what you did interacting with the objects he put there. And it struck me as very similar to that, except as well as the soundtrack I was listening to, and I thought, well, that suits the machinima. But then I realized the soundtrack is the machinima.
It's driving the machinima.
Yeah, the sound that was being recorded was being generated by the movement of the avatar. Totally random, or as random as scripts get. And yes, he's taken it a step further because the visuals work that way too. In other words, the visuals will never be the same, I guess, unless you can mimic your movements exactly the same way twice. So fascinating stuff. So the installation he's done is also on the LEA Sim. So that's going to be one of my top visits when I get the time. I don't think it's going to be this week, unfortunately, but I'd love to just walk into that and find out what's happening. I guess that's how on top of things like that you will. Very this is quite tech heavy. I don't know whether you can understand I'm trying to explain about this, but the whole environment, he's made a film of what happened. So it's not a machinima, but it feels like a machinima because the sound track and the visuals respond by scripts to what the avatar does in the simulation.
Yeah. Really
so
original.
It's pretty much scripted to follow triggers.
Yeah, a lot of them.
A lot of triggers. I think something similar. I wouldn't say. Well, I guess a lateral kind of thought there is back in the day in Active Worlds. One of the guys who worked with me, Mark Webb, did the entire mock-up for the Tower of Terror ride. From entryway all the way to the actual ride and all the way through, and did everything synchronized and animated in much the same way by doing a bot external to run the entire system.
Yeah.
So I understand the concept of all the triggers and stuff, getting to point A to point B and setting off triggers and doing this and that. So that it is quite complex to do that, though. Yeah, it takes a lot of patience to put that all in order and get the timing right.
Well, from my
just imagine the sort of obsessive compulsive behavior it takes to do
that. You have to be you definitely have to be OCD to do that. Yeah, off, like by a millisecond, you notice it, and you go, "Oh, it's got to go back a little bit. I got to redo this." And blah blah blah.
That's one of the things
you got to be OCD to the max on that.
Yeah, that's what makes editing fun.
When we were speaking to the guy near the end, he's got this strong German accent, but he speaks good English. But it was so clear that his headspace was in these scripts rather than in what we call the machinima.
Right,
it was great. It was great stuff. One of the clips I thought were a lot better than the lot two was silent, and I think without the sound, it sort of suffered because with the sound it was totally immersive, but when you just looked at the visual impact, it needed some kind of voiceover or sound to actually anchor it. But it was just great stuff. So
it was so much better than subliminal messages on train rides,
Well, yeah. That stuff's been around a long while there. You can make a machinima clip, for example, or any video clip, and you've only got to slot one frame into 30.
Yep.
For people people can't see it.
But they do see it.
They do see it subliminally, and it must be 30, maybe even 40 years ago. I forget when it was, but President Mitterrand of France won the presidential elections by doing just that with the
really
with the flag.
No
way. It didn't come out afterwards, but I mean, that reckon that the fact that the French flag had been subliminally imposed in all the advertising for his campaign meant that he got the nationalist vote, because even though he's a socialist, well, maybe they're not so far past at times, but it was attributed, his success and his landslide victory was attributed to the subliminal use of the French flag.
Wow.
in the TV campaign. So it goes way back. It wouldn't surprise me if the CIA have been doing it even longer, but we don't know about it. It's very, so that's why I said that train thing is scary.
So the next video I do, then I should watch MBTV twice a week, every week. One frame every 30.
One frame every 20, every 25 or 30 would do.
Okay.
They'll get the message.
Okay.
Yeah. Also maybe every alternate one you could say don't watch.
No, the alternative.
Whatever you do, don't watch the channel.
No,
don't do it.
Love this video. You love this video.
Yes, it's the don't press this button message, which is far more attractive than the push this button message will ever be.
Like this video now.
Reverse psychology kicking in here.
Twitter this video now. Yeah, I mean, I would stick there.
Reverse subliminal manipulation. This is so scary. Can we change the subject?
It's going so far down the line.
Honest to God.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please disregard the
The
comments.
subliminal
just made.
messages.
That's what you need, like multiple. You need like multiple of those subliminal messages, just kind of like playing in your head. Be like, do not listen to the last subliminal message. It's lying. No, don't listen to that message. It doesn't know what the hell it's talking about. It's like, no, people, shut up. No, buy Pepsi, buy Coke. No, leave me alone. Then you have like people like acting like they're insane on the subway, going, no, leave me alone. Shut up.
They won't leave their houses.
The funniest,
And you can
scary though.
and you can just tell people it's the voices in your head and they're arguing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And they're sponsored by PepsiCo. No.
Well, I'm just thinking, funny as it is, or rather scary as this, if this stuff was legal, imagine television as we know it. You'd have a subliminal pitch to buy one brand of washing powder. You'd have another subliminal pitch saying, "Hey, that was rubbish. Try our brand." And you'd have all these fighting,
conflicting
messages
messages
going on. You'd probably end up with having no impact.
I stand
at all.
in front of those shelves when I'm buying laundry detergent. It takes me like at least 20 minutes because I have to read every label of every different kind of Tide, you know. So, oh my God, if they start doing that, I'll be in there for days.
Maybe not. Maybe you'll please stand in front of it trying to imagine, and you'll just hear the voice. You're like, buy it. Come on, makes it later. Go.
Actually, you know something I would do.
Uh-oh. Maybe you better not say this out loud, Mel.
Well, no.
G-rated.
I often wish, when I've got an embedded video running on the channel or something, and it's say I'm doing an interview with somebody, or we're having this show, and I think what we do with television is great. We're projecting. There are people watching on the channel at the moment who aren't in world, and so we're projecting this outer world. They're probably in worlders who know what we're talking about. Maybe they won't be. Maybe they'll be wondering. This is interesting. They're talking good stuff, but they're just talking head cartoons. But it's interesting to listen to. So they realise that there's people behind what they're seeing on the screen. Now, I've always thought it'd be nice if you just had a button where or a thing where you were able to press the video and immediately go into the audience, the virtual audience of that show. Mm-hmm. And, you can always have a little button on an embedded web page saying, here's the slow of the events taking place if you want to go in, but then that, and then it launches the second live viewer, and then the blah, 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 blah. You've got to register if you're not already registered. It's not easy. But I'm suddenly thinking you could use that subliminal thing to keep posting a message of where the location of the actual show is.
That's a good idea.
As they're watching the show, they're being constantly reminded that they can really come in world and be part of the real audience and engage with the other people around them.
Which suggests, Mal, that for this show that the replays ought to be embedded with the word Chilbo every 30 seconds.
Yes.
Maybe Petlove can do that. You can place in one quick one frame thing that just says Chilbo.
Yeah, but you know what all my friends tell me to say now? They say make sure you say it'll cost you. Just kidding. Bad joke. Forget it.
I have to say I don't think, although I'm thinking what a great idea that is, I'm immediately saying myself I think it would be bad news to take that route. I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's for a nice outcome. I mean, you're trying to get people together, have a social experience, but it could easily be frowned upon too.
Yes.
We're not really going to do any of this. I certainly am not. No, absolutely.
It sounds like an awful lot of work for a dubious payoff.
Yeah, the payoff would be I'll get in trouble.
Even if we did, you guys wouldn't know about it because it would be subliminal. You just have a sudden craving for French fries or something.
Yeah.
Go to your fridge now. Go.
Then people watching this are not going to trust us from now on. They know,
right?
They know what we know, and they're never going to know whether we've done it or not.
What was that? Do not look at the man behind the curtain.
I feel like Tony Blair when he was trying to get elected. He didn't actually have an agenda, so he just said, "Trust me. We know what to that."
Look into my virtual eyes. We're not lying to you. Pay attention, especially to the right-hand corner of your screen, where a little dot may appear.
Do my eyes look like they're spinning there?
There's two lines in movies that always raise my my bullshit flags,
Oh,
and that,
meter.
one of them is trust me,
Right.
and the other one is I promise.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Trust
goodness.
me, I promise nothing bad will happen.
It's a setup for something not working the way the person who made the
Yeah.
promise thinks it's going to
It's a
work.
setup for you to give them all your money. That's
I
all.
love this. I
Simple.
love this stuff.
I know, right?
Just for, everybody's gonna be watching this, going, "Wait, are they doing subliminal messaging on us now? No, we're using reverse psychology now. You just don't get it. Well, wait, maybe I do get it, and you guys don't know. Reverse psychology. Don't. It means I have to be stupid to get it. Hey,
Really.
cognitive dissonance. Ha ha. We got you now.
Oh, God help us all.
Oh dear, yes. So we might regret this conversation at some point.
I don't think so.
This is
You
what
know
you
why,
get.
Mel?
Is it time to wrap up now?
I was just thinking, what else have we got? Well, anything else coming up this week we can think of, apart from some of us who will be so bogged down with Relay for Life, but nothing else will be visible in our minds. Yeah, Relay for Life next weekend. This show will be happening as normal, by the way, next weekend. It will be about 2 hours after Relay for Life is finished. Whether this avatar is in a fit condition to do the show is a completely another matter. But we will,
Drink Gatorade, dude.
we will
Take a break from the missus and drink some Gatorade then.
Yeah, I do get about an hour's rest between the end of Relay for Life and this. So, but do check out Virtual RFL, all one word, livestream.com, and check all the blogs to find for the link to Virtual Relay for Life in Second Life. Followed next week by Virtual World's best practices, but we'll have more about that next week when Relay for Life is over.
Don't worry, they'll know it without knowing it, because
And
now we
hopefully
have
we'll
new
be
tricks.
and hopefully we'll be able to announce great news next week. You know, of course, this time next week we'll know just how much has been raised, or we'll have an idea how much has been raised by it. And every year it has been more and more. So it is single-handedly the most successful charity drive, if I use that word right, in a virtual world. It is just
It's
a phenomenon.
Yes, it is.
And, you know, to the real Relay for Life folks, the American Cancer Society, you know, it's not big, but Second Life qualifies as a city, you know, so the virtual environment of Second Life is like a city in the real world that is taking part. So they
and raises money amounts, RLSIM money amounts that are very comparable to good-sized cities.
yeah,
That's right.
So it's definitely not small potatoes.
RFL.
It'll be interesting to seeing what the total is, because as of about a month and a half ago, when I did a quick check, it must have been during Fantasy Fair, or it could have been the event, whatever happened after that. The total that was showing on the page was already almost to the total for all of last year, for last year's RFL total.
Which was the biggest.
Yeah, which was the biggest. So, well, the previous 2 years, I think, came in right around $325,000.
Isn't that awesome?
U.S. dollars.
That's pretty damn impressive.
I heard RFL has raised about $6 million since it started in Second Life, over the past however many years they've been doing it. Millions of dollars.
Yeah,
you know, that's serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really
Wonderful.
serious cash.
Yeah. It's not chump
And
change.
It's you know.
U.S.
Well, you know,
dollars.
the thing about one of the things about Relay for Life, to my thinking, is that the event itself is so ideal to do in a virtual environment. I mean, you know, it's visual, it's participatory, it mirrors the real life events. It's actually better than the real life events, because the real life events use school tracks, which are boring to walk around for 24 hours. You know, the Relay for Life track in Second Life is, you know, there's all this fabulous stuff to look at.
Dragons.
Yeah, just
you can fly.
All these wonderful books and everything else.
Yeah, it is. You're right. It is a very good place for this type of thing.
not forgetting the fact that people can reach it in Second Life, where they might not be able to reach it or participate in the real world.
That's right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm,
Exactly.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait, so wait, let me ask a quick question here. That this whole thing is you're going to be walking around a track for 24 hours?
No.
Is that
No,
what?
that's not what we do. That is what lots of the participants do.
In teams.
In teams, yeah. It is actually like a real life relay in sort of
Right.
run. It's a huge complex of sims that are like a running track,
That makes me wonder.
in groups of four. There must be about 40.
Do they get paid
And
per lap? Is that how it
as
works?
you, yeah, you sponsor on the lap.
Probably
But-
take pledges based on laps.
yeah.
Is how
Is that? Well, the
And-
thing is, the reason I'm asking is because what stops somebody from like programming a bot just to do the laps for you in an avatar?
Then the bot makes the money.
Yeah, so
turns it over.
Relay for Life still get the money one way or another.
Oh well,
even
yeah.
if
Well,
it
then
is
the
a
bot's gonna be like, is that like using steroids in a race or
well,
something?
Yes.
They don't. There aren't any winners. There aren't any winners.
Winners or losers, yeah.
Well, except for
And
the
plus
charity
using an
ones, but I'm saying,
avatar.
like,
An
it's
avatar
like the
is a
computer
bot.
run the race for you.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's as Tara mentions. I mean, you want to put the bot in there, and you're lazy, but you still want to raise some money for American Cancer Society. Fine, I suppose. But when you're doing the running, you got to imagine you're going down this track, and there's a sim on one side of you, a sim on the other side of you, endlessly as you go around this thing. It is really big.
22 sims, right?
Yeah, and by the time you've gone around all the sims, you've been through so many environments, fantastic builds. You can off the track and explore things as you're going along. I mean, it is. A trader was saying to me last night. I mean, it is physically impossible for any avatar to cover every square inch of virtual land on those sims in the duration of the time that it's up. You really have to pick and choose. You can go around the laps and you can see what's on either side of you, and you can choose where to stop off or come back later and investigate. But you couldn't, in the time, the 1 week or something that the sims are actually up, you couldn't actually tread every virtual pixel of land. If you tried. What we do is we have a telethon studio on one of the corners of the track. So we've got cameras facing both ways, and we basically we have a news desk where we're running commentaries on what's going on and bring everybody up to date and on the latest totals. We got a lounge area where we bring principal people in from the different builds and different rallies, and we interview them and get background. We bring in people from the American Cancer Society and things and interview them. We bring in T1 Radio, which is their radio station, interview them. And we also have, if we have enough camera people, then we like to also put teams together where we've got an interviewer or commentator to the camera, which is a roving one. So they will teleport over to a particular event that's going on at that particular time, and they'll bring us a live report from that venue. So I'm sitting in the channel mixing all this together. We've got some pre-recorded bits. We will have live stuff from our studio, both in terms of commentary and interviews, and on top of that we'll have roving cameras. So maybe I'll suddenly switch over to a roving camera and get a report from an event on the spot. So it's a bit like covering a real live festival of some sort. You switch cameras to the different events as they're happening, and you get people in position ready, and the rest of the time you're in the virtual studio, talking about how much money has been raised and different projects going on. It's very much an all in, the theme.
It's a professional production. It really is.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's like the BBC covering Glastonbury or something.
Sure.
Except we've only got one channel, whereas they've got four.
Right. It's virtual.
Well,
Yeah.
just one other thing that might help to clarify. My impression is that most of the money raising that's done in the Inworld event is via such things as some of the big events like the Home and Garden Show and Fantasy Fair, and there's some other events of that sort. Plus, a lot of small events that the individual teams put on. they may also be getting pledges for how many times around the track their team manages to do, but I'd say there's a considerably lower emphasis on that for the Inworld version. That's very much how it's done for for any kind of races or for Relay for Life in the RL sim events, and in the Relay for Life in real world events. I think they're walking the track. They're not running the track. It's not a run. It's definitely a walk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
but there, I mean, it's yeah.
relay is a word, but it's not a sporting event. It's well, it's sporting event to take part for sure, but it's not sport, if you see what I mean. It's
it's very much more a team sort of.
Anyway, it raises a lot of money for research. Some people don't like the fact that it's an American thing, but it's research and that gets shared. Right.
Exactly. There have been debates about the direction of this, because the Europeans obviously say, well, why aren't we doing this with Macmillan or whatever?
Right.
But I mean, research benefits the whole world.
Sure.
By and large, except in the case of research in big multinational companies that's behind firewalls.
Well,
but by and large, research benefits the entire world at the end of the day. So I don't really care whether the research is being done in Iran or the USA or the UK or Australia or the moon. It's research.
That's right.
I'd actually care. I'd actually care if it was on the moon. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
there's hotels up there. When did that happen? Let alone research facilities.
Well, again, if you're researching medical things, there are plenty of research things that work better in a non-gravity environment, or where that you can do scientific experiments. Space.
I would want to know why I wasn't invited to come on by.
Well, you can come along, well, I'm sure they're always open for new campsites, so you can start a second.
Shoes. I don't have anything special. I have moon shoes down here. I want to be actually on the moon, in a dome or something.
Yeah, well, you can.
Careful what you wish for, Will.
You can start up
how come the future isn't here yet?
You can start out the RFL on the moon. There you go. They'll love you.
There. RFL on the moon. That would be awesome.
Yeah, they might. If you're successful,
laughing on the moon. Sorry, go ahead.
if you're set,
it wouldn't be about a track. It'd be like the race would be the race home, the race to get home where the oxygen is.
If you're successful, they'll qualify the moon as another city.
If you die, they won't.
Yeah, there'll be no city to qualify if you'll die.
I'm sorry, you dropped dead. I'm sorry, you dropped dead. Your contribution doesn't count. You dropped dead.
Yeah,
you have to make it back to Earth safe and sound for us to cash in.
That's right.
Relay for
Relay to the moon.
Relay for Life Expert Edition.
I wonder if the subliminal messages from the moon would be any better than the ones from Earth.
A slight echo.
Anyway, we got stuff clunking around on Mars at the moment, so
we
it's
do.
not just the moon. We can have Mars. Mars is another city.
That's right. Relay
they have Mars. They have the whole expedition there. I don't know who's doing it, but they're gathering people for a one-way trip to Mars to colonize or something.
Yeah.
That's cheating.
No, I'm serious. And don't expect to come back. You're there to colonize. We might get other people up there. And there's like 30,000 people or more that signed up for it. They're
That's
like, really?
Awesome.
You want to go?
That's
you really want to go? And I'm like,
on a serious level, I can believe that. The Earth is overcrowded. There's nowhere left to explore except electronically. I mean, young people, particularly. 100 years ago, they, a certain percentage would want to go and explore.
There was somewhere to run.
Find a new continent.
You could run away.
I think it really boils down to the Professor Farnsworth thing from Futurama, where he just comes in and says, "That's it. I don't want to live on this planet anymore." So at least 20,000 people are like, "That's it. I got a one-way ticket. I'm getting out of here."
Yeah.
I think if I was 20 years old or something, that would probably really appeal to me. I'd find a way to overcome vertigo for that.
Yeah, until they get there, they realize, what have I done? What have I done to what kind of mistake do you make
Yeah.
in life where you wake up one day, you realize, wait a minute, I'm on Mars and there's no going back.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
hell.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to
what's
be
the
around
point?
for that.
You know, they're discovering these new planets.
Civilization.
They're discovering these new planets that are actually habitable light years away, and they're pretty certain now they are. You know, so you can imagine it's been put into cryogenic sleep and
I've
sort of
read that.
waking up. You know, 10 centuries later.
Have they found 30
Um,
planets? There are like 30 of them.
Yeah, they
M
found one new
class.
star which has got about 3 Earth-like planets
Yeah.
around it. But they're a little bit out of reach at the moment. But cryogenics.
There's one. There's a giant comet coming our way too in November this year.
Oh,
Oh,
not
we're getting
again.
lots of them.
Another one?
Not again. Not again. Will this?
Like,
Well, the-
we're like about
did that already.
at least as visible as the full moon when it gets down this way.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking to myself, that's a little close to comfort for
That's
me.
very close.
And they're like, no, it's not going to hit Earth. I'm like, nah, that's pretty damn close to comfort to me.
The
And something that
last-
was really interesting was on the NASA site. I was looking on the NASA site on the trajectory that they're showing for it, the animation.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
When that comet or meteor gets close to coming through our solar system, they slow down the planets on the orbit, but not the comet. Which made me scratch my head and go, wait a minute, why would you slow the planets down?
Maybe because
think
of the
they're not- I think there's
perspective
some-
or the distance. It might have something to do with the actual traveling time. You know,
Uh,
that there's
if
a
the-
discrepancy.
If the comet is actually cruising on the animation, on the trajectory animation at the same
Uh-huh.
speed,
Uh-huh.
but they slowed the planets down in the orbit.
I,
So-
I
went,
remember. I remember when.
Up.
I remember
I
when
think
that.
what it is. No.
I remember when that last one recently came nearby. I was a bit concerned because nowhere could I find any indication of the extent of the gravitational effect of Earth on the comet. It seemed to be assumed everywhere that the thing was going fast enough and on steady course that it would be a miss. And I kept
Right.
thinking, well, what if a bit breaks off, and what if it comes into the gravitational pull of the planet?
Well,
And-
last month I had.
yeah.
Last month I was out
What-
back. I was out back in the yard here in New Jersey, and I just watched a meteorite streak through the sky on fire, and I'm like, that's the first time I've ever seen something like of that magnitude.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I've seen like small meteorites, little quick streaks up in the small ones, but this one was like a big flaming fireball and it burned out. And I'm like, that I've never seen before. I'm like, I wonder what's coming. And then like I get news, that this meteor's coming in friggin' November.
Could it
November,
have been
December.
a satellite? Maybe it was one of the many satellites up around the planet
yeah.
diving
Well,
down.
Satellites and space junk.
It was on a weird kind of trajectory, but it burned out pretty low down here.
Mm.
I was just caught me off guard. I thought it was a jet at first because I'm used to the trails, and then I realized this thing's on fire and it's not a plane because we're near an airport. I'm like, it had burned down. I'm like, oh, that was a meteor. Did not see that coming.
Yikes.
Yeah, well, there was a rather impressive one in Russia within the
Uh-huh.
last few months
Oh my god, yeah, I remember
Of
seeing
a-
the video on that.
of a
Oh
meteorite.
wow,
God, yeah, yeah.
oh that
Well,
thing just. Oh.
Yeah, the thing about if my recollection is correct, comets and the comet's tail are actually is off gassing and or ice.
Mhm.
So it's
Right.
it's
Usually
the actual the actual mass of a comet I think is pretty small.
Let's hope.
right, unless you hit the one that's actually not ice and is made of something else, and sometimes that happens. It's not everything's made of ice.
Yeah, well, apparently the combination of things that cause it to actually,
Right. When it
create
hits
a
the
tail.
atmosphere. Well, when it hits the atmosphere, if it does hit the atmosphere, it usually burns up on entry, and it's usually not, it's not how big it is out in space, it's how big it is on entry, and it burns
Oh
up
yeah,
a lot.
but I was talking about
which,
comets. Yeah, I was making a distinction between comets and
okay.
meteorites. A meteorite and a comet
Oh,
are two different
right.
things.
Right, sorry, I'm not Mr.
Yeah.
Astrophysicist. I don't know these things. I just watch the animations and go, something burning up and flying through the sky is not something I'm used to seeing every day. That's all I'm saying.
Well, one
But
thing
that's
about
their-
living on
that's
the
Well,
East
that's
a big
Coast
one.
is you don't have to worry because when things go down, we're going down first.
Might as well, yeah.
Sorry.
We're going down first. Whatever.
Well,
It's-
trying to get back on track here.
Isn't it time to wrap up now?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's
I
amazing
like
where our
subliminal messaging,
A
and
meteorite.
comments and doom.
It is amazing where our conversations manage to go. The free flow of this program is wonderful.
It's cherished.
You have actually reminded me that we did show a clip, yay, on this show last week from New Babbage, of all places, of an installation of Jupiter and its moons. So, Will, you will find something of interest in New Babbage. There's an installation, animated installation of Jupiter and its moons in New Babbage.
I don't want to look at anything that's space related right now, man. There's a giant comic number. I'm too scared.
He's going to Mars. He's packing.
I was on the phone like a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago with I think it was Sase Pile over at NASA Scan, and I'm like, you know what? I should have learned this information before I talked to him, because he was down in his car driving through the mountains. I'm like, dude, I should have known this before I talked to him, because I'd be like, dude, what's up with this? I need to know about this right now. What's
right?
going on? Tell me.
That's funny.
Okay, well, I'm going to take my cue from Tara. Oh, well, actually, before I take my cue from Tara and start the wrap up, it might be time to go back to Tara for any other news. Or have you exhausted it?
Well, no, I do have one little item, and this is a go visit, and actually Petlove gets the credit for finding it and turning us onto it.
Oh,
Bentham Forest.
Yeah.
Bentham Forest.
So
the sim
pretty.
name is Elven Mist. Is definitely worth a visit, and if you're into hunts, there are 3 of them at least. At least I found 3, going little ones that are very much integrated into the build, and the objects that you have to find are fiendishly hard to find.
And you
anyway,
like that?
It's a fabulous build. Go visit.
I went there, Elven Mist, isn't it? The name of the sim. I went there with
that's the sim name.
And unfortunately, I fell asleep before I was able to click on anything. But I did. It was a wonderful way to fall asleep because it was a beautiful.
That's what I told you, Mel, isn't it? It was very relaxing.
Yeah.
It's very pretty. It's a very cool place. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely colours and textures,
Deep
and
blue.
I loved the mushroom men.
Yeah.
The mushrooms with the faces, because they weren't spooky because they were sort of old and wizened, and they
Right.
just didn't seem threatening.
Yeah.
Whereas you can imagine another build of following that path and coming up with something rather spooky.
Right.
Ill.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of old school. It was kind of like Disney grows up. It was It's beautiful. It's a very beautiful place.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Well worth the visit.
and wonderful sound too.
Yeah.
The atmosphere.
And as a matter of fact, Mel, those mushrooms with the noses are called elder shrooms.
elder shrooms.
Elder
Okay.
shrooms. Cool.
And they're their own quest. And that quest, I still haven't found 2 of the items in their list.
Oh, you're good. You are very
Elder
dedicated.
shrooms? I think I took
I wonder if they make an elder.
some of those.
I'm wondering if they
Yeah,
make an elder.
that's enough, Will. Don't tell us anymore.
I wonder if they make an elder shroom avatar. Wouldn't be bad, actually.
I have a mushroom avatar, but it's not an elder shroom.
Make an interesting machinima.
If SaveMe were still here, I'd put it on.
So we'll have to go back and look.
Did I say that out
We'll
loud?
have to actually look at what's in. We'll have to look at what's in the store and see if amongst the avatars there's there's a mushroom.
It could happen. You might at least be able to buy one as an object and put it on your lawn with your kitties. Oh, do you want to say anything about your kitty before we go, Tara? Your Megapus kitty?
My Megapus is born.
Yeah.
He's
Attached.
sitting there on the floor.
I've been checking
Notice
in on him.
notice how small he is. He won't change much size when you're looking, but I can guarantee you that I will actually. What I will do, I will stick him on the chair today, and I will leave him on the chair, and I'll leave him on the chair for when the show starts tomorrow, so you can see. In fact, I will just actually let me just stand up right now, and I will put him on the chair right now, so you get the visual.
Yeah, Petlove was coming into a wonderful thing earlier, and I was looking at it, I think, I wonder if it'll grow during the show.
I think it has, actually. It looks a little bigger to me, just a little.
I think you actually have to log out and log in again before you get to see
really?
it. Although I'm not sure, but don't
pretty
squash it when you
Sit
go squash
down.
it when you sit down again.
Can you put it in your lap, Tara? Maybe you could sit on your thigh or something. Poor little
Oops.
thing.
What's he
She
got?
waited-
Okay. Hey, Bill, that's a good idea. Just a minute. Let me.
Taking
I
your
think
chair.
Just a minute. I gotta
Oh, well.
close some. So that I
Okay.
can see what I'm
No
doing.
problem.
Unleash
The world's
the
just
kittens.
watching. Give that kitten a comfy place to sit. Of course, you won't be
Okay.
able to. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Well, while we get
So tiny.
while we
Okay,
get
he's in my lap.
yeah, he is rather. He is rather. I'm not going to make
So
any comment.
tiny and
I'm not going to
You
make
better
any.
not, Mal. Don't even go there.
I'm not going to make any comments about that after
I
yesterday.
got like
We better
the
wrap
amount of
now.
stuff that I
Can
don't.
we wrap?
The other stuff that you guys keep telling me not to make comments on
Can we
between
wrap,
the cat
please?
and the mushrooms and all I know is I looked down at my crotch and went Elder mushroom, huh? I said, I have a
There,
new
he's sitting on my
nickname.
knee. He's sitting on my knee.
Right.
This is going on so.
Somewhat safer. Okay. Right. Well, I'm going to start. I'm going to start the
Thank you.
wrap now. Most of the rest of the show, for those of you out watching live, we can review. I'm prepared to bet that actually the entire rest of the show is going to be a huge bunch of clips that came in for the University of Western Australia's Reflections Machinima contest this week. There have been so many. I think they are going to run to the entire 2 hours, whatever we've got left. I will probably post this week. There wasn't one last week, but there'll probably be a midweek review this week, which doesn't have a live section. We just sort of put a playlist together of stuff that's come in the week because we haven't got time for it on Sunday, basically. But it's sort of slightly long form machinimas and shows that have been on air and things like that. So watch for that, about Wednesday or Thursday or something. But I'm going to leave you, if you are still watching live on the channel anyway, with a really glorious epic, loads of machinima for UWA. And of course, they're all based around the theme Reflections, but that doesn't mean they're all the same by any manner of means. One of it, no, we showed Emma's last week. But anyway, there's lots there. And
His is nice. I like demos.
Yeah, I
It was
better
good.
not point out any favourites because I'm meant to be a judge.
Oh no, you can't then. No, of course
keep
not.
It,
Yeah.
keep it under my head, so to speak. But there's some great stuff been coming in, so we've got a whole bundle of them. So we will be back against all odds, probably. I won't guarantee what state we'll be in, but we will be back same time, same place next week.
Sunday?
Very shortly after Relay for Life. But yeah, Relay for Life finishes at 10 a.m. and then we'll be on there with this at noon. Well, if we're in a fit state.
I think relay ends at 11. Doesn't relay end at 11? So we'll be here at 12, right?
Well, let's put it this way. It may be a short show next week, folks. But something will happen on this channel at noon. I don't know what it will be, but it will be. We'll have something together for you because there's always plenty.
That's right. You've never missed a show, have you, Mal? You've always put this on.
We're nearing 6 years and we have never ever missed a show.
That's wonderful.
Every single weekend and mostly Sundays, we've run this. So the show must go on, as they say in the business. And who am I to argue?
That's amazing. It's really great.
Might change my mind about that next week, but
Yeah.
no, we go on. No, I have been known to sleepwalk through a broadcast and get away with it. So.
And now we have subliminal messaging, so everything will be fine.
Yeah. It is actually funny. I'll let folks into a little secret. I'm sure Pet will know what I'm talking about. But we've been privy to some of the advanced preparations and various people doing them. And, it is kind of entertaining to watch somebody hosting something or trying to do something when they patently haven't slept for 48 hours or something, and you can hear in their voice the fading concentration. Yeah, our sympathies to all those concerned who will remain nameless.
And our support, yeah.
Somehow it still carries on. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So, I'd like to thank Tara as always. Thanks, Tara. Definitely back with you next week.
You're definitely welcome.
Oh, we had I think I should say, we're a day late, but I think I can say happy anniversary to us too. Because
Yeah.
Tara and I met, we had our sort of 6th anniversary of our meeting, indeed.
Yesterday.
Last night,
Yesterday.
yesterday, last
Happy
night,
anniversary.
or whatever. So
Yeah.
that's actually how we ended up trotting around the flowers.
A
Thanks
match
as
made
well.
in virtual heaven.
Uh-huh.
And thanks also to the wonderful Petlove Pet Shop.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Always good to have your voice in the conversation. So
Yeah,
the
okay.
camera.
Thank you.
And once again, thanks to another real regular now, I think, Will Burns. Thanks, Will.
Awesome sauce, man. Awesome sauce. It's great being here. I love making you stutter and be uncomfortable, Mal. It's fun.
You do it well. Keep him on.
And I think I'll say thanks also to the unexpected performance art. Oh, she never actually made it onto voice, but SaveMe Oh, delivering some
That
rather
was something
interesting,
different.
something rather interesting psychedelic kind of visuals to brighten up.
I'm glad she got something new.
Yeah,
That's all I'm going to say.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay.
Yes, another cameo appearance for SaveMe Oh. So wonderful. Yeah, sorry, Carl. Well, we have somebody in the audience who obviously wasn't here earlier saying they missed it. Yeah, you missed something. You did indeed miss something.
What it was, you'll never know.
That's all I'm going to say. It was a special event. That surprised us all. Okay. Thanks for watching, folks. If you're watching this in replay, go check out MBT Live Venue and watch the whole show anytime you want. But this show will be up on YouTube, the Inworld Review. And obviously the whole show is available for replay at any time via live stream embeds and stuff like that. So thanks to all my guests. And that's it for this week. Get ready for some wonderful machinima for the Reflections contest.